You ever stop to think about ceramics, like a tile maybe, or
Oh,
even a part in your phone? It seems
oh,
so
basic, maybe.
sometimes. But it's actually this huge foundational global industry.
And today, that's exactly what we're diving into. The global ceramic market. It's honestly much bigger, much more dynamic than you might think. So our plan is to really explore this market, look at its projected growth, and also the big regional shifts happening between now and 2033. All this info, by the way, comes from a pretty detailed report by Cognitive Market Research. It's called Global Ceramic Market Forecasts to 2033. Our goal here is simple. Unpack the key takeaways from all that data for you. Look at the trends, maybe some surprising facts, and figure out what it all means.
Yeah, and just to set the scene, the scale we're talking about is, well, it's pretty impressive. Think about this.
Oh,
Back in 2021, the market was already worth something like $226.72 billion,
wow.
right? And it's not slowing down. Projections put it near $280 billion by 2025. And then looking further out to 2033, it's expected to hit over $424 billion.
Over 424 billion. Exactly. That reflects a compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of about 5.36%. So consistent, strong growth.
Okay, 5.36% globally. Let's break that down a bit. How are different parts of the world actually contributing to this? Where's the real engine of this growth right now?
Well, if you look at the numbers, it's clearly Asia Pacific.
Yeah.
That region is really dominating. They generated, what was it, $93 billion back in 2021?
93 billion.
Yeah, and that's projected to hit $117 billion in 2025 and then soar to over $185 billion by 2033. That's a regional CAGR of almost 6%, 5.93% to be precise.
So even faster than the global average.
Exactly. And within APAC, you've got, well, China, of course, still a huge force. It's going from about $28.6 billion in 2021 to a projected $58 billion plus by 2033. It's a 6.1% CAGR.
Doubling.
That's very much. But you know what's really interesting? India. India's momentum is quite remarkable. It started at around $10 billion in 2021,
Yep,
projected to reach over $22.8 billion by 2033. And its CAGR is the highest mentioned in the whole report, 7.002%.
7%. What's driving that, do you think?
Well, it strongly suggests massive infrastructure development, construction booms, rapid urbanization, all needing ceramics, from basic tiles to advanced industrial types.
Makes sense. And other players in APAC.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Japan's growing steadily, expected to reach over $25.5 billion by 2033. That's about a 5.2% CAGR. South Korea looking at around $14.5 billion, similar CAGR. Australia just over $13 billion. And then you have places like Singapore showing strong growth too, about 6.17% CAGR, reaching $9.2 billion. Southeast Asia as a whole is accelerating, projected at over $15 billion with a nearly 6.5% CAGR.
Wow, Southeast Asia really picking up steam.
It is, and Taiwan as well, heading towards almost $11 billion with a solid 5.6% growth rate.
Okay, so Asia Pacific is clearly a powerhouse. Now let's shift gears. What about North America? A more mature market, right? How does it compare?
Right, a different dynamic, but still very significant growth. The North American market was $56.45 billion in 2021. It's projected to rise to nearly $68 billion in 2025 and then reach almost $98 billion, let's say $97.6 billion by 2033.
Okay, so still substantial growth.
Absolutely. That's a CAGR of about 4.67%, solid. Within North America, the U.S., as you'd expect, leads. It was nearly $44 billion in 2021 and is forecasted to expand to almost $75 billion by 2033. That's about a 4.5% growth rate.
Okay.
But here's something interesting. Canada. Smaller market, sure, starting at about $8 billion, but its projected growth rate is actually higher than the U.S. at 5.2%. It's expected to reach nearly $15 billion by 2033.
Huh. Canada outpacing the U.S. slightly in terms of growth rate. Any idea why?
Could be various factors, maybe specific large-scale infrastructure projects, different housing market dynamics, perhaps higher per capita investment in certain sectors.
Look at them in Mexico.
Mexico is growing steadily, too. From about $4.4 billion, it's projected to reach nearly $7.8 billion by 2033, with a TGR around 4.85%.
Right. Okay, let's cross the Atlantic. Europe, what's the picture there? Similar to North America, or different drivers?
Europe's another major market, definitely. It accounted for over $43.5 billion back in 2021. Projections see it reaching over $52 billion in 2025, and then hitting about $76.4 billion by 2033.
And the growth rate?
Pretty similar to North America overall, actually, about 4.86% CAGR. If we look at specific countries, Germany shows strong growth. It's going from about $8.2 billion to nearly $15.6 billion by 2033. That's a healthy 5.6% CAGR.
Germany leading the charge in Europe then.
Seems like it, yeah. The UK is also showing solid expansion, moving from around $7.3 billion towards $13.2 billion. That's over 5% growth annually. Then you have France, Italy, Spain, all contributing steadily. France is projected around $8.7 billion, Italy near $8 billion, Spain about $6 billion. Their growth rates are generally in the 4–5% range. Russia's growth is noted as more modest, projected around $2.86 billion by 2033, just over 3% CAGR. And then you have others like Sweden reaching $5.5 billion, Denmark around $2.7 billion, Switzerland $3.4 billion, even Luxembourg hitting over $1 billion, mostly growing in that 4–5% range too.
Got it. So solid, consistent growth across most of Europe. We've covered the big players. Asia, North America, Europe. What about South America, the Middle East, and Africa, often high potential regions?
Absolutely. And they show some really robust growth figures, too. Let's take South America first. It was a $15.2 billion market in 2021, expected to grow to nearly $19 billion by 2025 and reach over $29 billion by 2033. That's a strong CAGR of 5.6%.
Okay, quite strong indeed. Any standouts there?
Well, Brazil is the largest market, going from $6.2 billion to nearly $12 billion, growing at about 5.5%. But Argentina actually shows a higher growth rate for the region, over 6% CAGR, set to reach about $6.6 billion by 2033. Again, suggesting significant development happening.
Interesting. And the Middle East. Lots of construction news often comes from there.
Yes, and the numbers reflect that. The Middle East generated nearly $11.8 billion in 2021, projected to hit $14.6 billion in 2025, and then $22.5 billion by 2033. That's another strong CAGR, around 5.5%.
And specific countries driving that?
Saudi Arabia's is projected to be the largest market, reaching $6.6 billion by 2033, growing at about 5.6%. Turkey also shows very strong growth, nearly 6% CAGR, reaching almost $5 billion. But the UAE really stands out with a projected CAGR of almost 6.4%, hitting $3.1 billion. Speaks volumes about their development goals.
Yeah, that UAE number is quite high. Okay, finally, Africa.
Africa's market, while starting smaller, shows definite potential. It was about $6.6 billion in 2021, expected to grow past $8.5 billion in 2025 and reach $12.5 billion by 2033, growing at over 5.5%. And Nigeria is also expanding solidly, expected to cross the $2 billion mark with growth over 5%. So you see ongoing development driving demand there too.
Okay, so we've circled the globe. We've seen this picture of, well, pretty consistent, robust growth almost everywhere, but with really different speeds, right?
Yeah.
What's the big takeaway here for someone trying to grasp these global dynamics?
I think the main thing is seeing how this data reflects broader economic shifts. It's not just about ceramics, it's about industrial activity, it's about construction, urbanization. And what's really fascinating, I think, is seeing where the highest growth rates are concentrated. You know, places like India, Southeast Asia, Singapore, Argentina, the UAE.
As emerging economies, yeah.
Exactly. It points to where a lot of the new development, new infrastructure, maybe even new manufacturing hubs are really taking off. It's the materials underpinning that expansion.
It definitely shows there's a lot more to a market like ceramics than meets the eye. So much economic story packed into it. Which kind of leaves me wondering, it may be something for you listening to think about too. We talked a lot about construction, but beyond just tiles and sinks, what specific types of ceramic applications, maybe the more high-tech stuff in electronics or healthcare or even green energy, do you think are really fueling that explosive growth in some of these emerging regions? And what does that tell us about where global innovation and development might be heading next?